Euphemisms are used by each individual according to their values, morals, culture, religion, etc.
And how they use them will reflect their psychological state of mind.
As Dr. Euhpe would say, tell what your euphemisms are, and I'll tell you who you are.
Euphemisms change over time and can tell a lot about a specific person or one's culture at any given time.
In our society, plagued with the curse of legal suits, the use of euphemisms has become more and more common in the past century. Many individuals use them as a method of denying reality or disconnecting themselves from reality. Dr. Euhpe mentions the criminal case in which the criminal pretended to have interest in Jack the Ripper. In reality, he wanted to be as famous as this criminal, and when he was apprehended, he stated in court that his name was the Crossbow Cannibal.
This nickname became his way of detaching himself from reality.
In comparing the two similar cases, we can see the shifting use of different euphemisms. In the Jack the Ripper case, the victims were prostitutes. In the newer case, the victims were referred to as sex workers. The terminology had changed.
The psychology behind the differences here is certainly related to several factors. Euphemisms are dependent on the period of time that they're used and by the context in which they're used. So, the use of euphemisms is a reflection of the psychological state of mind.
Most of the euphemisms are created in order to be able to speak one's mind without offending our own virtuous standings. Depending on each individual fear or belief, the use of these will display if the fear is geared towards religion, sex, inadequacy, social awkwardness, etc. The psychology behind the differences is certainly related to several factors that influence the use of euphemisms, and all will depend on the period of time where they are used. For example, in a time where disability and handicap play a big role in the work environment, if an employer or supervisor needs to refer to a person with a disability to differentiate that person from the rest of the employees, they need to use euphemisms to avoid discrimination, such as saying the employee I visually challenged instead of saying that he or she is short-sighted or blind.
Euphemisms are all around us. We use them in everyday speech and they change depending on the setting.
Can you think of any other common euphemisms?
Instead of saying unemployed, you could say between jobs. And when I got fired, I usually said laid off. Oh, instead of saying my grandmother's blind, she says she is just visually impaired.
Great. And here are some other examples.
Those can be really confusing. How am I supposed to know what people are talking about? What about kids? How would they know what we are talking about?
Children might take a euphemism literally at first, but as part of the culture they learn how it is used in context. There are euphemisms that are so common that you don't even think about them anymore. But when you do, their literal meaning is confusing and unrelated.
For whom the bell tolls refers to funeral bells. Who cut the cheese? What does cheese have to do with bodily gas?